guess before we get started tonight, we also have a few other thank yous to give. Ben Hilberg and the kitchen staff did a great job on putting this meal together for you. So if we can give them a round of applause, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. And then Coca-Cola in town, they always sponsored the drinks for this event. They're a big supporter of Mt.Edgecumbe High School, and that is the Calhoun family. They couldn't be here tonight, but I was appreciative for them to do what they do for Mt.Edgecumbe High School. And to get started tonight, that was a good time to celebrate our student athletes and get together to congratulate them on their achievements individually and their team achievements throughout the year. And also, this wouldn't be possible without a great group of coaching staff, throughout all our programs here at Mt.Edgecumbe High School, and also the administration here that supports you individuals. So thank you to the coaches, thank you to the admin. And to get started, we'll have volleyball going first. Mr. Mahoney.
Hello? All right. So they didn't tell me about this part when I volunteered to coach, so we're going to get through this really quickly. Um, I really enjoyed coaching these girls. Some of them more than others, but they're a good group of girls. So I'm just going to read their names, and they can come up and get their certificate. Alexis Romanoff, Amaya Krodo. That's fun. Annalise Conforti, Ariana Adams, Courtney Lestenkoff, Destiny Milne, Isabella Jackson, Hayden Delilla, Hayden, Kaisa Koch. I'll just Kennedy Langley, Kiersey Hammock, Leisha Lozano, Leisha, Leisha, Binmont, Lena Baker, Maggie Lyon, Mercedes Kashatok, Natalie Patrick, Raina Peterson, Shaylin, well, I'm just going to call her Shaylin. That's, you're going to say that? No. Terry Sage, Veruca. Oh, man. And Latasha? Yeah. My managers, Latasha and Sierra Phelps.
tougher than we started off the season last year. But throughout the entire season, they were some of the most improved ball players that I've had the opportunity to work with. So the following girls will receive a junior varsity certificate: Lisa Strom, Mia Anderson, Lacey Prince, Emmeline Wassley, Kayla Kashevarov. It was close. Cameron Olson, Madison Alstrom Beans, Charlie Corthius, Laura Fields, and last but not least, my manager, Delaney Steffes. Next up, girls varsity.
All right. So, this year, apparently we don't have enough letters to give out for everybody. So you guys will get yours. Who need them, you'll get them later. But I do have a little something for everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Goldsberry and Mr. Frisky and Mr. Goulet for all your support once again this year. My second year as a head coach here. Very emotional, very rewarding, and I appreciate all your help. I also wanted to thank these three ladies right here, Coach Monica, Coach Livermore, and Coach Janet. At least one of these ladies was in the gym with me almost every practice. And it makes a huge difference when you have, 12, 13 girls showing up all the time to get that extra help. I also wanted to say a special thank you to my defensive specialist, Coach Frisky. He came down to the gym a few times and helped with our defensive tactics. I really appreciate that. All right. So just to start, I want to introduce our managers. Jamila Anderson, Jamie J. I don't know if she's here, but I hope she decides to hang out with us again next year. Haley Sweet Cushion. Practices for me if I had to be working, talking to another kid or something. She'd just start it for me. I also wanted to say, last year, I think I was one of the fastest people up here last year. Not going to happen this year. Sorry, not going to happen. I'm going to outdo Mahoney. Way by far. So first of all, I'm going to call the girls up here. I have they get a state participant certificate plus their varsity certificate. Lisa Strom. She's probably on restriction. No, I'm just kidding. Sherilyn Johnson Edwards. I said that backwards. Sherilyn Ellen, Renee Ramos, Maggie Miller. These are the your all stars that will be returning next year, for sure, for sure, right? don't have to compare yourself, right? Okay, so this is the type of thing we do every game, every pregame. You think we're going over X's and O's? No, we talk about a quote and we discuss it how it applies to basketball and their life. So these kids, young ladies, understand what it's like to be good human beings. I appreciate that. Okay, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you. Mr. Goulet, you guys can stay up here. We have one more thing that I'd like to celebrate, a little celebration of family and life. I have a little memorial plaque that I want to give to Cynthia, Karina, Dylan, and Sonora. But I'd like Mr. Goulet, who was there in Anchorage with us when Sonora's papa passed away, and he talked to our team, and we talked about family, and I'd like you to kind of say what you said there.
Thank you very much, Coach. It's always an honor to be associated with Mt.Edgecumbe High School, and at the state tournament, that was no exception. We came across a very hard time, not only as a team, but as a family. And the girls stepped up to it, and they played probably the best game they played all year. You heard Coach mention that the Galena Lady Hawks were second ranked going into that state tournament. That was not a mistake. They were good. And they came out and they were hitting threes like there was no tomorrow. They were red hot. We were down by 10, we were down by 12, and our girls stayed with it, and they worked hard the whole day. They really stepped up to it. A lot of it had to do with the dedication that they had to honor one of the most cherished spectators, one of their most cherished fans, and that is Sonora Bell's father. And Sonora Bell's grandfather, I'm sorry. So she stayed with the team. She was with her family at the important parts, of course, and then she came and played with the team, and we won as a team, and we won as a family. So Sonora Bell, up here, please. On behalf of the varsity basketball team, in loving memory of Lowell S. Peterson, forever a supporter of Mt.Edgecumbe High School Lady Braves, win, lose, or draw, I'll always be proud of you.
All right, who's next? Cross country.
Okay, all right, folks. Hey, the cross country, right? And so I get to say this every year. We are closer to next season than we are to last season, right? So looking forward to what your cross country team can do in 2019. Before we get too far into it, I want to really appreciate the people that make the cross country season work, and that are our coaches, right? Those are our coaches. So we got some great folks that come and volunteer to work with you guys every day. and I really, really want to give them a round of applause. So first up, I haven't seen him, but Coach Aaron Roughton comes and runs with us regularly. So Coach Roughton, lots of love to you, right? So boom, boom, boom. And then Coach Davis runs with us every day. Coach Susie runs with us every day. And Mr. Gurley comes and runs with us very regularly and does a great job with the team. So thank you. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a whole bunch of coaches to help kids run fast. So, right, we like that. And positive energy and all that. This year. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring up our freshmen first, then our sophomores, then our juniors. And then, so we'd like to use our Mt.Edgecumbe one clap for our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. When we get to our seniors, since this will be the last time we get some of these folks up on the stage, well, until they graduate, which we hope they do, we're going to give them a big round of applause. So one clap for our underclassmen and then full-on applause for our seniors, okay? So we're going to bring the ladies up because it's a ladies' first world. And to do that, I'm going to have Coach Susie.
All right, we're going to start with our freshman Lady Braves, Jade Burlingame from Eagle River, Serena Christmas from Anchorage, Bo Ide from Sitka. We had 2 sophomores this year, Tiara Chase from Anchorage, and Raquel George, also from Anchorage. I see no movement. For runners, they're moving very slowly.
Hold up. Yep. So, Tiara's in the house. Raquel is in the house. I haven't seen Bo, so she's getting off the hook. So, come on up, please. I'm saying please.
Team captain, junior Adeline Dement from Bethel. Kayla Kashaveroff from Anchorage. Robin Masterman from Bethel. Sunset Woods from Bethel. And then our seniors, Bristol Charlie from Queethluck. Four-year runner, Rebecca Hollander from Haynes, is not here yet. Four-year runner, Jalen Martinez. Alexis Rexford from Barrow. Catherine Sunny from Nightmute. And Verla Weeder from Huslia. So I have the microphone, so I'm going to talk more. So we're having preseason for anybody who wants to run. If you're interested in running next year or if you're just interested in running, there's no prerequisite. We run Thursdays after school. We leave from the flagpole at about 4:20.
That's in 2 days.
That's in 2 days.
They leave at 4:19 or 4:21, but never at 4:20.
And
I don't know why.
We'll have a meeting for running next year at the end of this year. So look for that announcement.
We'll do that soon. All right, very good. Excellent. Thank you, Coach Susie. Okay, so I get the pleasure of announcing our guys. It's a ladies' first world, but so we'll start with our freshmen again. A one clap for our freshmen. So hailing from Nome, Mr. Daniel Buffett. Daniel, very good. Come on up. Okay, from Anchorage, Mr. Keenan Kashaveroff. Keenan's in the house. I saw a picture of Keenan this morning that his sister had. He was cute when he was little. Let's see here. Anyway, I'm just saying. All right, okay, so hailing from Queethluck, Mr. Dustin Jackson. Yay, we're on to the sophomores, by the way, okay? Let's see here. From Bethel, Mr. Jared Alikar. Yay, Jared's in the house. Let's see here. From Nome, you know him as Reese, but on his driver's license that he doesn't have yet, it says David Banky. Okay, let's see here. From Anchorage, Mr. Ian Chase Ivanoff. Very good. This young man's so fast, we'll have to slow him down on his way up here. From Falls Pass, Mr. Dayton Hoblin. Yay. Let's see here. Ooh, from Old Harbor, right? And this young man's super quiet, but he's got a big presence at practice. Mr. Joseph Horvatine. Joseph? Oh, very good. Okay. Let's see here. Ooh, and hailing from Anchorage, Mr. Roman Lowe. I think that's all. No, we got one more sophomore, right? Newly elected, and he'll be traveling pretty quick to represent you guys because you voted for him. From Nome, Mr. Taylor Schlepper. Yay, Taylor! All right, good. Okay, now we're moving on to our juniors. And these are, so I'm excited about this junior group because these are going to be our leaders for next year, right? So I'm digging that. So hailing from Sitka, and today just happens to be his birthday. Yeah, heck yeah. My boy, Lucas Arnold. Yay! So yeah, that's great. And let's see here. So and then traveling with the music folks is we'll give him a one clap from Sitka, Mr. Jesse Hansen.
Anywhere.
That's my boy. I'm not gonna cry, I promise. Let's see. Okay. So and then hailing from Bethel, but now Sitka, but he's going to Bethel this week. Mr. Jasper Kuhn. Jasper's in the house. I like that. And then our last junior, and I knew it did. I tell you what, I love this young man's attitude. Big smile at practice every day. Hailing from Chivac, Mr. A.J. Moses. All right. Yeah. Okay, now I get to bring up our seniors, okay? So for the seniors, hey, lay it on them. This is the last chance we get to have them stand with the team. Let's see here. So from St. Michael, Mr. Alex Andrew. Alex, yeah. I saw a great picture of Alex last week. He got in a fight with a razor, and the razor beat half of him, but then he beat the razor for the other half. It was an interesting mismatch. Let's see here. Anyway, always smiling. Love having him on the team. From Nome, so 2-year team captain, right? And this is the team's need. We need runners like this, right? So hailing from Nome, Mr. Braden Banky. Yay, here comes Braden. Love it, love it. You can't buy leadership like that. Okay, let's see here. The real positive attitude, hailing from Eagle River, Mr. David Charlie. Where's David? Lots of love to David. Let's see here. From Juneau, Mr. Josh DeAsis. Josh is in the house? Yeah, Juneau, you got it. Josh brings a smile every day, okay? One of our silent leaders, okay? And I'm not silent. That's never been accused of being too quiet. So I need people like this around me to help me to grow, right? So silent leader, a man who did a lot for our team, hailing from Bethel, Mr. Leon Yvonne. Yeah. Here it comes. Good. Okay, from Anchorage, Mr. Taylor K. We're going to go with Taylor K. Special K. Oh, goodies here. Okay. All right, from Sitka. This band runs really fast. I really enjoy having it on the team. Mr. Jonah McClanahan. Jonah, little J. I like it. Got another real positive attitude hailing from Cake. That's senior Austin Rice. Go, Austin. Yay. And I got one more. And if you want to see what a smile is supposed to look like, you got to find this young man because he smiles every day, works hard, great attitude. And of course, we're talking about Shelby Samuelson. Yay, Shelby! Woo! Okay. Yeah, let's get these guys up here. Woo, I like it. Okay, so this right here, this is your 2018 cross-country team, okay? So give them a big round of applause. They did a good job making you guys look good all year. Okay, I've got funny stories about all of them, but the basketball team used up all my time. So anyway, but great crew. We enjoyed it. We had a great season, and we're looking forward to next year. So I was going to drop the mic, but apparently we have budget cuts. So we can't afford to replace it. So give them a big round of applause, and we'll get out of your way. Thanks, guys.
All right, I'm up here for C-Team boys basketball. My goal for the year is always just to have fun, make sure we have fun and we always improve. We always try hard, we always work hard, but I always make sure we have fun what we do. We get to do our C-team lock-ins at night. Everybody's always signing up for that. Even varsity was a little bit jealous about that, I know. They're always asking me, can I come tonight? Can I come? No, not tonight. Not till the season's over. Started out with about 60, but we are notarizing the ones that finished the season with us, the ones that came, and we came down to about 34. I got an assistant coach halfway through the year, Mr. Jaron Miller, but he wasn't able to make tonight. It was a big help to have him. And I always, this is my second year coaching. I'm not the best coach, so I was always asking Mr. Tony Haskins for advice, what to do, plays to run, drills to do, and I always appreciated Tony's advice and always followed through. And sometimes I had to ask him like 2 or 3 times, but my boys got it. We worked hard, and they all improved, and I look forward to seeing them on JV and varsity next year, except for my 4 seniors that finished the year with me. We're going to start out with Mr. Isaiah Nyukpuk. He played hard and did well. We got Dylan Jackson. He has an awesome shot, and he's always got a good attitude. He'll surprise you from like the Steph Curry range. Got Mr. David Beans. They call him Baby, but he's a big body. Where's he at? We got Mr. Trey Dock. Maybe you didn't even know he played basketball, but he played well for us, and then towards the end of the season, he made a couple crucial shots for us. Mr. Ian Chase Ivanoff. He was one of our smartest players. I took a little bit of advice from him, and he's a great player, and you'll be seeing him on JV varsity next year. We got Mr. Brennan Johnson. He's a very intense defensive player, always played hard, and I didn't have to coach him much. He just played his hardest. Got Mr. Svensson Pauken. I thought he was a junior. Mr. Ryle Utarayak. I would name him as my most improved player. He finished the season out with me, and he's played strong. I hope he sticks with it, and he put up some hard baskets and got some good rebounds. Mr. Jaden Post. Whenever I have open gym games, I always pick Jaden Post because he's got that hustle, tries hard, and never gives up. Got Mr. Nelson Jackson. He was supposed to be at the back with the rest of the seniors, but sorry about that. He was a senior. He's a joy to have on the team. He's a runner, so he's always running down the court. He's a little bit out of shape, but we got him back in shape. Mr. Murphy Charles. Murphy, he was like my high scorer for all of my games. I never wanted to sit him down, but sometimes he gets tired, even though he's just a straight-on hustler. Mr. A.J. Moses. Another one of my favorite players. He surprised me, and I used him as my point guard after I realized how good he can dribble and how he takes care of the ball. Mr. Austin Alexi. Tall player, got my rebounds, plays really smart. He's also in honor room, and he is not here today. Mr. Gavin Klushkin, a fellow Tlingit, he's not here as well. He missed a few practices, but that was usually my fault because he's a town student, and I write my practices on the whiteboard in boys' dorm, and I forgot to text him. Mr. John James is not here. Hard player, got those rebounds, threw up some good shots, good attitude. Kasper Makuliev. Did you guys know Kasper Makuliev plays? He does. He plays really well. He's just smart, and if he spent more time at it, he would be a great, great player. Mr. William N. Brown. There he is. If he keeps at it, he'll be on varsity next year. He's a good player, and he keeps his grades up. He's going to go places. Brecken Gooden. Mr. Brecken was always the most excited to play, always checking in with me every time I stepped into the boys' dorm. He's like, hey, when's our next game? When's our next practice? What's going on? He's the most enthusiastic player I have. Hugh Youngers. He played hard. A little bit surprised he didn't make JV. He will next year. Everybody knows he's a good player with a great attitude. Everybody likes Hugh. Daryl Small. I didn't let him talk trash on our court, but when he plays, he talks a lot of trash, and he's really funny, and he's a joy to have. Now we're down to our seniors. I'll start with my favorite because he is a fellow Tlingit. Sorry for my bias, but that would be Mr. Josh Diasis. He was our hardest working player. He was always asking me what he can do to improve. He was always running down the court and never wanted to come out. He'd be red in the face, sweating all over the court, but he doesn't want to come out. He wants to stay in and play, and he improved a lot over the year. Mr. Shelby Samuel. As Mr. Arnold pointed out, that he has got a great smile. He's always fun to have on the court, and he always tries hard as well. He's first one down the court, gets those rebounds, and plays real hard with those muscles he's got. Always working out, always improving himself. Best attitude on the team is right here, Mr. Adam Andrew. Where's he at, Bear? Where's he at? Your little protege. We taught him a lot, and he played hard, played well for us. Then Mr. Cody Gibbons. I was blessed to have him on the team because he's tall enough to grab all these rebounds, play against all these other. We're C team. He's a senior on C team, so he snags those rebounds and then surprised me under the hoop a few times. So this is our C team. We played hard, and my goal is to have fun. Did we have fun, guys? Yeah. James, who? Is James Cleveland here? Okay, James, you probably didn't sign in. I went off of my sign-in practices. James was fun to have, and he'll get the rebound and he'll put it back up without me and have to tell him, then he flexes on him. But James Cleveland is here, and he probably just forgot to sign in. Okay, so these are my C-team boys. Thank you guys for a great season. I enjoyed it.
All right. If you played on the JV team, you can just start heading up here. First kid is Benjamin Milopov. Gregory Bordakowski. Carl Smith. Caleb Phillips. Andrew Bavila. Daniel Buffus. Keenan Kashavarov, Jaden Frost, Robert Cleveland, and Lauren Kashatok. All right, this is the JV boys basketball team. We lost a few kids and pulled a few kids up from C team, but they were still able to win the C team JV Jamboree, and they were also able to win at least one game against every team they played against. So it's pretty impressive. Thank you guys for finishing the season, and I'll see you guys next year.
Okay, I'll be bringing the guys up, and I will be letting you guys know whether they receive a certificate or a letter. In order to receive their letter or their bar, they must play in 50% of the quarters throughout the season. So please give a one clap until we get to the seniors. But first and foremost, I would like to bring the managers up, because I agree with a lot of the other coaches, and you'll hear from the next coach too. They are paramount to getting little things done in practice. We need them. Us coaches are a little unorganized sometimes, and we need a little assistance with that. So first up, getting a certificate as a manager is Haley Johansson. She's a senior, so clap for her. And next up, we have Brianna Clark. And the first young man I have coming up receiving a certificate would have certainly earned his letter, and maybe I should give it to him anyway, but right now he's getting a certificate. He suffered an ACL tear in Barrow that had a huge impact on our team. Please bring up one clap for Leon Toomer. Where's your crutches? You said that too, didn't you, Monica? I knew it. He didn't even use it. Next up, getting a certificate is Frederick Myers. And right behind him will be Vlad Bordakovsky. Okay. Receiving a certificate, Corey Jasper. Also receiving a certificate that is not here, he's in cake, Drew Jackson. Receiving his first varsity letter, Jeff Adams. Also receiving his first varsity letter, R.J. Alstrom Beans. Receiving a varsity letter, David Dock. Och. And our first senior receiving his varsity letter, Cyprian Johnson Edwards. Next up, receiving his varsity letter as a senior, Bear Brown. I hope that was Renee whistling at you. And also we're receiving a bar, but he's not here. He's in cake with Drew, Emma Dunaway. And we have 3 awards that the players all vote on. We were a little bit late. We were in a mad dash, and we voted today. I thought the guys were pretty accurate what they voted, but it's nice that they're team awards, and it's how they perceive each other. This year, our most improved award goes to R.J. Alstrom Beans. And our Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Emma Dunaway. And my personal favorite award, even though the others are not far below it, in my opinion, is the Teammate of the Year award. And before you clap, it's going to go to Bear, but before you clap to him, you need to know a little something about him that I shared in his letter today. After we lost to Sitka, I didn't know this until about probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I ran into Austin Morrison's dad, and he spent a good 10 or 15 minutes praising Bear because Bear, within, 20 minutes of our loss, 30 minutes of our loss, not far after our loss? Okay. Dad said it was in 30 minutes anyway. Point being, he said his son Austin received a text from Bear that was like 3 paragraphs long, just commending him for, in Dad's words, all the elbows, all the hustle, and the battles, and he took it upon himself to wish Austin and that team good luck. And I can't tell you how much that means to me to have a kid like that play for me. So Bear, I thank you for that. You've earned this, and I hope you guys all see that as a sign of who we can be as athletes, but at the same time be good sports at the same time. So Bear Brown, Teammate of the Year, and your Mt.Edgecumbe Braves for 2019. Thank you.
How are you guys doing? All right, do me a favor. You guys been sitting for a while? Take about 30 seconds, stand up, stretch, relax, say hi to the person next to you. Don't move, just stand up, relax. What's up? All right, find your seats here. Go ahead and find your seats. All right. Let's settle down so we can get out of here. We got to make this quick. I've got a bet with my kids that I won't cry. It's going to cost me $20 if I cry. 20 times 3 is $60. I don't want to spend $60. All right. First thing I want to do here tonight is, all right, let's settle down. I want to make sure that I give a great thanks to the assistant coaches we have here. We have Mr. Justin Elby. Mr. Bo Bowder. Mr. Tyler Homeland. And Mr. Jason Christen, who had to leave early to protect the city. All right. The first young people that I'd like to recognize are my managers, and we can't do anything in wrestling without good managers. They are the glue that sticks everything together. We'd like to, one clap for Lila Tomas, Mackenzie Smith, Leah Lakanoff, and Megan Johnson. Holman's a little sad he didn't get flowers. Dang it. If only I'd known. All right, if you girls want to step here, you can, but I'm not going to make you. If you'd like, go sit down. Wrestlers, hold on to your, I'm not going to, just to make this quick because there's so many of you, it takes a long time to get everybody to get their certificate. I'm going to call your name up here from the certificate. Just drop by my room tomorrow so I get to say hi and you can pick up your certificate then, all right? Makes it easier. Make it quick. I know that one thing I'd like to say is I know that it says boys and girls wrestling, but I have a mindset, and we've started changing that mindset. We already have boys and girls that come to us. We're not in the business of making boys and girls. We're in the business of making young men and young women. So as I refer to them, it's going to be men's wrestling and women's wrestling. And the first group that I'd like to recognize would be the men's JV wrestling. Hayden Hunt, Arthur Heckman, Chu Xiao Li, Trey Dock, Reese Banky, Ian Chase Ivanov, Roman Lowe, Dylan Jackson, Lucas Arnold, Jared Arlikar, Mikey Casey, the following people I'm going to call are receiving a varsity letter. In order to receive a varsity letter in wrestling, you must have been chosen as or earned the right to be the point scorer at the regional tournament, or you must have beaten the point scorer at the regional tournament and become the point scorer, or qualify for the state tournament. Many times, our third wrestler in our weight class will qualify for the state tournament, and they deserve, that means that they are better. There'll be 1, 2, and 3 on the podium for Mt.Edgecumbe, and that means that they are better. Those 3 wrestlers are better than everybody else's varsity wrestler, so they deserve that varsity letter. Receiving a letter and a pin, Dean Penipchuk. Receiving a bar, Dayton Hoblet. Receiving a pin and a letter, Robert Deason. Receiving a bar, Ethan Cook. Receiving a letter and a pin, AJ Moses. Receiving a bar, Lloydie Iojak. Receiving a letter and a pin, Noah Andrew. Receiving a bar, Zane Mahoney. Receiving a bar, Ethan Sergi. Receiving a bar, Leroy Bradley. Receiving a bar, Nelson Jackson. Receiving a bar, Josh Diasis. Receiving a bar, Haley Osborne. And receiving a pin and a letter, Alex Andrew. And receiving a pin and a letter, Jay Din. Let's talk a little bit about the accomplishments. We went into the region tournament, and it didn't look very good. Usually I can call up the travel agent and say, we're going to have 10 or 12 or 8, and we need to buy these tickets. Oh, Leon's certificate is not in there. What is up with that? Leon Yvonne receiving a bar. Dang it. Oh, well. It's not in there. These young man, it didn't look good. I couldn't call. And so I was on the phone with regionals happen, and we're kind of sitting in 4th, 5th place after the first day. And then it started happening. We started beating people. We started early, about halfway through the season, and we started with I will statements. I will do this, I will do that. And at regionals, they started believing that they could do those things. Suddenly, they were beating people that had beaten them all season. And suddenly, matches that were close weren't so close, and they were getting pins. And we shocked ourselves, we shocked the regions. I kept having to call. We have 8 now. We have 9. We have 13. Oh no, we have like 14 people. Oh no, we have like 15 people qualify for the state tournament. Most in the school history. And they three-peated, much to everybody's surprise. So this is our Region 5 three-peat champions, Mt.Edgecumbe Braves. I have a couple of individual awards I'd like to give. The first award I'd like to give is for most improved. This young man came to us as a sophomore this year, and I said, hey, you wrestle? Yeah, I wrestle. Did you go to state? No. And I said, well, that's okay. And we took him on the first couple trips. And I was like, Coach Holman, I don't know. This guy, I don't know, man. He said he wrestled before, and he's getting killed by everybody. And he just worked hard in practice, and he kept being coachable, and he kept getting better and better, and lo and behold, he found himself in the region finals. He beat 4 people that beat him all year to get to the region finals. Most improved wrestler, AJ Moses. There you go, buddy. Congratulations. The next award I'd like to give is for most inspirational wrestler. This young man, I'm going to give it away. This young man came to us last year, and he was kind of a disaster. He'd be up like 14 points. And then something would happen and go, I can't win. And he'd get pinned. And he got better and he got better. This year we had a little mantra with him. We told him, bad things are going to happen in wrestling matches, just like in life. If bad things happen in life, you just don't quit. But in wrestling, we have a little mantra. You score, I score. And then I score again. Lloyd Jack. Well, the next one's so outstanding I almost forgot him. Come on up here, Leon. No surprise on this one, Leon Yvonne. For the last 2 years, this young man has been the heart and soul of the men's team. He leads by example. I've never had an athlete work so hard, be so dedicated, and have such a good attitude. Even, I will tell you, even when he took some defeats he didn't want to take, he was right back there for his teammates, supporting them, cheering them on, helping him coach, being in the corner with me when I couldn't have another coach. You can't ask for a better young man to be in your part of your team. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, gentlemen. You can take a seat. We're doing good. No tears yet. The next to be the women's JV wrestling. If I forget somebody, kick me. No. Heather Kozlov. Let's one clap it. Dahlia Burns. Crystal Moses. Cheyenne Murphy. Reagan Hoblet. Adeline Diamond. Bernadette John. Chiara Chase. Haley Wallace. And Jackie Kernack. Oh, no. All right. For the varsity women's wrestling, Malia Moultrie, Mesa Brown, Bristol Charlie, Anya Pingayak, Alexis Savon, Dakota Magnuson, Natasha Merlino, Amaya Croto, Maggie Miller, Tristan McCarr, and last but not least, Raquel George. Before I do the individual awards, let me tell you a little bit about these young women. As we came into the season, you could only imagine when you graduate as many two All-Americans, a national champion, multiple time state placers, and you look along. Coach Homeland and I looked as everybody else's team got bigger and better. We were looking in there. I don't think we can do this. I just don't think we can do this year. And we were preparing for it. But these young ladies answered the question, answered the call, and they answered the questions that they needed to answer about themselves and about their dedication and about improvement. They continued a streak of 5 years. Mt.Edgecumbe has never lost a duel. Mt.Edgecumbe women's have never lost a duel against another team. They have never entered a tournament as a team in women and finished anything less than first. And when you think about that, you think, oh, well, you've had a long program. You've been sort of half of the team that is here that was on the state tournament team last year. We qualified 13 wrestlers for the state tournament. Only 3 of them were on last year's state championship team. Only 3. And even of those 3 that were on there, only 2 of them are back this year for this awards. So what these young ladies continue to do is something very special, and it's greatly appreciated, and it's noted, and more than once I've gotten compliments of these young ladies are what a wrestling team should look like. So congratulations, ladies. They are unofficially 5 times in a row, but officially 2-time defending state champions. The first award I'd like to give out would be the most improved. And this goes out to a first-year wrestler. And she has a tradition of wrestling at Mt.Edgecumbe. Started out by her cousin. And she came there and she was it was pretty rough going. It took all the way to the second to last match of the season for her to wrestle a match where she didn't lock hands, put in a full Nelson, pull some hair, pull a hairnet, hands to the face. But she put it together. And we took her to the Lancer Smith tournament, and we were there, and she got kind of beat up a little bit. We got on her. She lost a really tough match. She was up, and she locked hands, and I made her stand up, and she lost a match. And I said to her, "I'm only hard on you because I believe in you." And she said, okay. And she buckled down and she worked really hard at it. Not only did she beat that girl at the state tournament, but she managed to beat the number 3 seeded wrestler twice in the tournament to place 3rd place as a first-time ever wrestler amongst on the podium. All those girls were at the state tournament. Almost all of them had placed the year before. Dakota Magnuson. The next one I'd like to give is most inspirational. For as long as I live, I'm going to tell this story. So, Coach Holman and I we're in practice, and we're sitting there talking, and an errant volleyball hit me in the back of the head, and I picked it up and turned at it. Yeah, I deserved it. And I turned around and I threw the ball back, and I got distracted by this girl. She's moving around, and I'm going, she doesn't look like a volleyball player. Look at that lateral movement, coach. We got to get her to wrestle. Haley, do you know that girl? Yeah, she's Maggie. She's from Nome. I said, you got to tell her to wrestle. Okay, I'll talk to her. Next day, Haley, did you talk to her? She said, I don't think so. So, in the middle of Coach Mahoney's in a really serious practice, and he's all in there, I walked over to Maggie. When this is over, you need to wrestle. And she goes, no. But we worked on her, and she came in. She wrestled 3.5 weeks of her entire life and ended up in the state finals. That's a lot of inspiration to people, that if you work hard and you're coachable and use what you have, you can be successful. Maggie Miller. The next wrestler I'd like to mention, this is the Coach's Award. Sometimes you have a wrestler and they're so good at everything, but they're not the greatest at everything, but they deserve to be the greatest at everything, but they're just not. But they're just, every time you mention something great about a wrestler, they're in that conversation and they deserve to be recognized. And Coach Holman and I had a long conversation about this young lady and felt that she deserved this award. Anya Pingayak. The last award I have to give tonight is for the outstanding wrestler for the women. And really, I don't really need to say this, so let's just bring her out, Bristol Charlie. I have Agatha and Andrea and Sydney to thank for this one. I'd heard about the rumors of how good Bristol was in middle school. Oh, she came from the village. She was beating up all the Bethel boys. And guys remember Colin last year, Arthur? He goes, Coach, when we were in middle school, she beat me up. She pinned me. And I asked her to wrestle, and she said, no, I don't think so. And she came out last year, and she had tough opponents. And she kept getting better, and she kept getting better. And she won a region title. And she found herself in the state finals. It was a heartbreaking loss, one that was decided by a referee. Could have went either way. And we talked to her last year, and well, I said, well, next year. She goes, not going to wrestle. I said, Bristol, you have to wrestle. Not going to wrestle. And when she showed up at the first day of practice, I went, really? You're going to show up? That's awesome. She said, I want to beat Shelby. That's the girl that she lost to last year. I want to beat Shelby. I said, okay, let's do this. We went to a tournament. They got some video of Bristol, and Shelby and about 12 other girls left the weight class. She had a very rare occurrence, an undefeated season. She was 31-0 this year. She is the heart and soul of this team. She drives them. she demands excellence from herself, the people around her, and her coaches. Bristol Charlie. Once again, your 5-time defending state champs, the Mt.Edgecumbe Lady Braves.
All right. So I want to bring up Mr. Klaus Stolpe. Come on up. Come on up. He's going to be our guest speaker tonight. He's also our local sports writer. You may not know Mr. Stolpe, but chances are he knows who you are and what you did on the mat last week or the court this week. I've been around, I've worked at Mt.Edgecumbe for 14 years and have been reading newspapers for a long time. And I can honestly say I have not seen such dedication, insight, and effort put forth in covering high school activities in Sitka, let alone the rest of the state. This guy loves what he does, and he loves reporting about you guys. We appreciate you for this. Let's hear it for Mr. Stolpe. Klaus Stolpe was born and raised in Petersburg. Said fitness has always played a role in his life, including lifelong friendships, education, business partnerships, world travel, and personal well-being. He has played college and semi-pro basketball, been a personal trainer, and currently participates in 100-mile-plus ultra marathons. He is an accomplished reporter and a photojournalist with over 50 Alaska and national media awards. I asked Klaus what got him into reporting, and his story to me was he needed to move back to Petersburg in the early 90s and help with his aging parents and find a job. There he took a job in the Petersburg press room. A different reporter left, and he filled that position. Klaus said he always liked to write growing up, mostly poetry and long letters from the fishing grounds. It was a good fit. Asked why he focused on high school activities, Klaus responded, the purity and enthusiasm of athletes and sport. A few fun facts about Mr. Stolpe. Most memorable moment you have covered, the 2006 Winter Olympics in Turin, Italy. That's pretty cool. Why have you and I asked him, why have you stayed in Alaska this whole time? He said, it's just the most beautiful and wild place statewide I've ever seen. Plus, he is not a sun person. I said, how long does it take to do a 110-mile ultra marathon? He said, it depends on so many factors, the course being the main one. His first ever was a 110-mile Klondike Road relay he did in 23 hours. The next year, he did it in 19. Then he really tried to go fast, and he self-destructed. He didn't finish. His best mountain ultra has been the Fat Dog 120-mile that goes through 3 Canadian parks. He did that in 28 hours. There have also been 2 times that Klaus had DNFs, did not finish in that race. So imagine running nonstop from Kotzebue to Ambler, or Sitka to Juneau, plus a few extra miles, or Bethel to Kwethluk 10 times. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, I tried to put it in perspective. So, and I asked him, have you ever thought about getting back into playing basketball? He said, every time I see a ball resting near the court at a game. And then last question I asked him, what's your favorite food? And he said, ketchup. So I want to thank you for all you do to support and promote high school activities, and especially your time spent at Mt.Edgecumbe High School covering our kids here. So I have something here for you. I have a Mt.Edgecumbe High School hoodie. And if it's not your right size, we can get you the right size. There you go. And he can wear that instead of his Petersburg Vikings stuff. So, and then I got him a wide mouth, unbreakable ketchup bottle.
So you actually wouldn't realize how good this tastes at about mile 75. I'd like to do something before I start. I would like you all to stand up, and I'm going to take a picture of you doing the Braves. So I need a coach to do 1, 2, 3 Braves. And let me get my camera ready. Kimber, 1, 2, 3, Brave. 1, 2, 3, Brave. So that was so important to me. I do not remember the first time I ever saw that. Because I graduated from Petersburg in '78, and I remembered when we played you guys, that didn't happen. And then when I was covering you guys, that happened in Southeast once, and I was like, what's going on? And then when I saw it at the state tournament for the first time, and all of Anchorage, it was like, what's that? And then I'm like, yeah, Edgecumbe's here. Yeah. So before I get going, the reason... You know, if you take anything away from why I'm standing up here, I want you to know it's because I'm honoring you. I love being up here, but this is about you. This is the greatest. I'm so pleased to be here. When I was asked 2 years ago, and excuse me, I have to read a lot. Unfortunately, they picked a speaker that's into written media and photojournalism. I'm not a radio person, so. When they asked me 2 years ago to help while a reporter was away, I jumped at the opportunity because I knew it would involve Mt.Edgecumbe. And then last year they asked if I would help while a reporter left, and no hesitation. So my chance to speak here tonight is to say thank you to all of you. Edgecumbe is what I expect sports was like back in the days of ancient Greece, minus the lions and the finality. You all competed hard, you made no excuses, and you shook opponents' hands from varsity down to JV, and I thank you for that. And I thank your coaches for that. And all your coaches already mentioned that to you, and I think that's something that we don't see a lot of in high school sports. I don't believe in athletes pounding their chests when they do what they are supposed to do. I believe it's your right to try out for sports, but I do not believe it's your right to be handed an opportunity. I think you have to earn that, and that's what I respect about Mt.Edgecumbe. I think sports is about winning and losing, and the lesson comes from how we handle those two results. I wanted to wear my high school letterman's jacket, which I purchased when I was told I was on the starting varsity for the opening games of the season, and I was a freshman, and I bought this jacket, and I started all 4 years for Petersburg High School, and I think I wore that jacket maybe a dozen times. And my significant other, who lets me keep my shoes at our door, I told her I can still wear my letterman's jacket, and she's like, no. And so I put it on to show her, and yeah, I can still wear it. And so I wanted to wear it, and then I thought, nah, So then, that wouldn't be appropriate here. And then I thought, I'll wear my 1978 basketball shorts. That'll show. But I played in an era when my hair was longer and our shorts were shorter. And they were not flattering then, and they would not be conducive tonight to any point I'm trying to make. My freshman year, Wrangell and Sitka, they were the top dogs. They were ahead of Ketchikan. Petersburg was 4th. Juneau was 5th. Mt.Edgecumbe was last. My sophomore year, I fell in love at the Mt.Edgecumbe tournament with the Sitka drill team girl. That year, Ketchikan took state. My junior and senior years, we went to state as the Southeast #2 seed and lost our first game each tournament against the top seed from Anchorage. But we loved this court at Edgecumbe. We always thought we could jump higher here. So tonight, what's funny is some of I graduated in '78, so I might have possibly played against like a grandfather of yours, maybe? I don't know. I don't know when your parents and grandparents graduated from here. Tonight I'm wearing this blue suit, and I've only worn this blue suit 3 or 4 times at each of my parents' funerals, a couple governor inaugurations, and when I photographed my daughter's wedding. So tonight I consider this blue suit, this is a suit-worthy affair tonight. And in essence, this suit is kind of about fitness in general, because I bought this suit in 1981. It was while I was at college. One of my roommates was a cross-country runner for the University of California, Fullerton, and another was a basketball player there, and he was majoring in fashion merchandising, and he talked me into both my attempt at playing there and my purchasing of this lovely but overly expensive garment. And to note, the maker of this particular brand of suit is now deceased, so that kind of says really how old it is. But I have to ask your permission about something, and it is permission because most of you know me in sweats and a jacket, not a jacket and a tie, and I'm so uncomfortable in these. And underneath, I am wearing my Ultra. I'm wearing my shorts and my running top. So I'm asking your permission if I can get rid of the suit so I could be more relaxed. I do not know how your teachers and your coaches can last a day teaching, and it's amazing. Applause for the teachers and coaches. Oh, there's more. Now, if anyone wants to go for a run. So my passion of sports and writing and such, it started really early. I read Cat in the Hat books, I wrote little love poems to whomever, and I played outside all the time. We grew up shoveling snow off our town court in the winter and dribbling my ball along the dirt roads in the court all summer, putting holes in our living room wall when an errant pass ricocheted off something. In the summer in Petersburg, we would wait down by the ferry, and we'd wait to see what college kid would come off to come work in the cannery, what Forest Service guy would come in for the summer, and we'd tell him where the courts were. I mean, that's how we practiced. We knew we would be playing Mt.Edgecumbe and their pesky little guards. We knew we'd be playing Wrangell and their physical style. We knew Sitka's smart physical full court pressure, Juneau's big town combination, and stuck-up Ketchikan. And we never had been to Ketchikan. We never knew why they were really called conceited, but that was the moniker they wore. And plus, they had won a state title or two. But hoops was all we really had. My idol, the one that first started me playing basketball, he set the high school state single game scoring record of 69 points. And he set it here. Gil probably remembers. The guy's name was Dave Omer. He says he scored 71. There was an error in the book, whatever, 69. It's been broken since by a man from Toke. I think it's 73 points now. But when my friend Dave and I get together, he always says, yeah, but that was an overtime game, and they had the three-point line, something we didn't have when I grew up. I cannot imagine, when he was a senior, I was a 7th grader, and we played one-on-one constantly, and then 2-on-2. And we only lost 2 games to my recollection, and we won the rematches. My job was to set screens, rebound, and play defense, and that was how I learned the game. When the day came where I actually won a game against him, he made me play a dozen more that night, and I lost them all. So I can't imagine playing today. I cannot imagine the distractions that you all have, the internet, cell phones. I used to stretch our family phone cord across the kitchen, down the hall, and into the bathroom so I could talk to my girlfriend. You know, sometimes it was long distance, and then the phone bill comes in the mail, 2 weeks later, and my mom picks it and she sees it, and then she gets on, she picks up the phone, she goes, Alice? Because Alice was our operator. We had an operator in town. Alice would connect my mom to the outside operator, and the outside operator would call this girl, and then the girl's father would get on, and my mom's saying, you owe me $10? So before the operator, we actually had a switchboard, and that was how my mom and dad met. My mom was a switchboard operator. My dad was an Alaska telephone lineman. I still have that switchboard in our family. I'm a romantic. That's how they met. And that's a lesson for you. First lesson was say hi. We did that. This lesson is be romantic. Ask your parents or your grandparents how they met. Ask your coaches how they met their significant others. Ask questions. The reason I am up here tonight is I love people's stories. I love learning about people. You out there, you all have these exciting lives to me. I think I mentioned every single name out here. I hope I did. I tried doing all the previews. I begged the coaches to give me the name of every player and what village they were from. I hounded them, what community you all came from. To me, that is so exciting. I'm so proud of you all for being able to leave your community and come here. I could not do that at your age. As a matter of fact, I cried my first Boy Scout trip when I was in 8th grade. We went to Wrangell, and I was like so homesick, freaked out. You couldn't console me. I was like, oh, you got to call my mom. I cried my first year when we went to Prince Rupert to play Canadian team. I was a freshman. It might have had something to do with a girlfriend dumping me, but the fact was I was not mature enough to be so far away from home. Cried my first year at college when I thought I should have been playing better. When I went down to my first year at college, I had spent the summer before partaking in things I should not have more than working out. Got down there, got my rear end handed to me for a solid week, and I would walk home from that gymnasium in tears, wondering what had happened. So, another lesson, don't be afraid to cry. Life is so full of feeling. My high school career involved trips to the state tournament my junior and senior year. Both times we lost a game by a match, by a point to the top Anchorage team. First year at college was not what I wanted. Scholarship to a small cow town in Oregon. Just told you I didn't train in the summer. I lived at the coach's house. I was expected to herd his cows if they ran amok. I had a little experience with cows, especially cows that were being courted by one angry steer. And there were 2 of us Alaska scholarship players, probably going to be on the injury list due to goring. So I experienced a crushing blow there. First, away at college, high school girlfriend says, oh, you know, my best buddy's just my good friend, whatever. That's over. Then I had to work my rear off to gain that starting position before, again, that I had lost. And we get to the playoff. The coach is telling me I'm going to guard the best player they have. And I'm pumped for a solid week. They announce our starting 5. My name is not called. I don't play at all. No conversation. School is hell. I leave. It turns out, and I'm going to share my life because, you know, you deserve it. You impressed me so much in my time here. So money was stolen at this coach's house, and he thought it was me. I'm back home. I leave college. I go home. I get a phone call from him. His young son took the money. He apologized to me, asked me to come back next year. I say, sure, but I am angry and immature, and I never come back. I show him. So that started a different part of my life. One of my stepbrothers was an ex-Vietnam helicopter pilot, and he came back from the war with a drug addiction. He asked me to take his place on a fishing trip. And when I grew up, I swore, I'm not going to be a commercial fisherman. You know, I see these Norwegian guys come walking down the street all the time. That's not going to be me. I'm a Swedish kid. I take his place. The trip winds up being 30 to 45 days on the open ocean. We're long lining. It was hell, but I loved the work. I loved the workout. And so that's the direction my life began to take. I began commercial fishing. I had the ability to, I would send photos off to organizations because people were not getting that in Alaska right now. They were not getting this type of news. But I also became involved in that world. And that world at that time involved some drinking and partaking in things that I wasn't ready for. So my basketball went idle. And then my idol sat me down and we talked, and I moved in with him, straightened myself up, and thus began phase 2 of hoops life. And the funny thing is, even in that bad period, what I call a bad period, I always jogged or ran. I would leave a party and a friend would go, where are you going? I'm like, I got to run in the morning. So I couldn't figure that out. So then I went to a 4-year Christian college for 1 year. Yeah, as you can tell, my passion for going to school was not in becoming smarter. It was because I thought I was all that. So 1 year Christian school, and then a coach over at a place called Cal State Fullerton asked me to walk on there. And I had a buddy that was going there, and he said, yeah, go there. And so I did, and found out right away that my place on the team was going to be sitting down, and I didn't like that. But I made friends there. One of them currently is an NBA referee, and it's fun to see him out there. My running roommate at that college, he was also a writer. He worked for the LA Times later, and whenever after that, when I was not fishing, I would spend the money I had made fishing by traveling to where my friends were or where the significant other I was pursuing at the time was, and I would live life. But the thing is, I would volunteer at a school if I could, or a gym. For some reason, the physical part of life had attracted me, and I loved it. My real first introduction to running per se, that is running for the sake of a sport, was while it was my last year. I attempted basketball in college. My roommate, the cross-country runner, he would do his training exercises at midnight after his late studies. So he'd wake me up, drag me out on a 2-mile route, but he would always wait for me to catch up in the last 50 yards. I'm in high-top basketball shoes. And then we would sprint to the finish, and you know, I was all excited. And then when I would go fishing, if we had a break, I'd get off on the beach in my extra tufts and run on the beach. In Nunivak Island, I chased muskoxen on the beach. In Barrow, was chased by a polar bear, and that was cool. I mean, per se, it was cool. We were on snow machines, and a whaleboat captain named Herman Ashuik. I'm probably mangling his name. But he spun us around and took us out, and then we came back the next day with my camera, and we didn't see polar bear again, and I was so upset. Wherever I was, I would always try to find a gym, and or like I said, I'd volunteer at a high school. I coached the Woodinville boys sophomore basketball team. This is Woodinville, Washington. Coached them to a perfect 0-30 record. And we never had so much fun, though. My job was to find the best sophomores and make a team. Unfortunately, they didn't tell me that when I got the sophomores, the JV team would take them. 2 of them wound up starting on the varsity. I wound up walking through school looking for whoever I could get to play. One kid, his father was a professional magician. This kid would practice magic at halftime in our locker room. He pulled a rabbit out of his hat in the locker room. Another kid was an exchange student. He would just freak out in the game and start dribbling the ball with his foot. But we had fun. One year on a trip, I trained with the Denver Broncos head trainer. And so it's my greatest weight training tip I can pass on to you as an athlete. Don't worry about heavy weights. Worry about moving weights quickly. It's going to make all the difference in your fast twitch muscles. Just one more lesson I can part. I played one-on-one for salmon fillets with a Denver Nuggets guard, and of course I lost because he's a professional basketball player and I'm a fisherman. But what helped me so much was that I had the Alaska card. I encourage you when you go out, introduce yourself to people and then mention where you're from. Break that ice. People want to know about Alaska, and then they'll want to know about you. On one of my trips, I tried out for a semi-pro basketball team in Colorado. We were sponsored by Southern Comfort Whiskey. Our uniforms were bright pink. I think I played 8 games. We made $35 to $80 a game, depending on your level of skill. I made under 35. I was tolerated, but it was fun. In Maui, on a break from fishing, I jogged on the beach with Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't know if anyone knows who that is. I know I'm speaking out of my age bracket. But I bumped into him. We were both with significant others shopping. They were shopping. He and I were in the corner cringing at prices. He mentioned something. I said, yeah, I wish I was jogging on the beach. And he goes, let's go. So we took off. I was always athletic enough that I could compete to a certain level, and I always had the Alaska card, so people like to hear about that. And during my fishing, I was always sending shots to the Associated Press because it was something they did not have all the time. And that led to them asking for me to add some words to it, and that progressed into me being a stringer for them. And then through sports and media, like I say, I've chased by polar bear near Barrow, a brown bear on Admiralty Island, some darn giant spider in an Afghan desert, Greenpeace activists in a logging camp near my birth town. And in Barrow, I had a rude experience for myself of eating raw seal flipper. And when I was there in Barrow, it was in the middle of the winter, and they were hauling these seals out from under the houses, because you all know more about this than I do, because that's where they storm because it's cold. So they would bring them into this place, and the elder women were skinning them, and so I'm taking pictures, and they're like, in Inupiat, they're talking, looking at me and laughing. That's a bad sign. And motion me over, and they're chewing, and hand me this, and I get it here, and I can't even describe the smell now. To me, I mean, Swedish raw fish dishes are totally different than any other culture's raw fish dishes. I put it to my lips, and then it's 20 below outside, and I'm on my hands and knees throwing up outside, 20-degree weather. But I love the experience. That's another lesson. Expect the unexpected, and embrace that. Embrace that unexpected. It ties us to the rest of the world. One year, when I was fishing in Bristol Bay, it was storming. There's wind, fish blood flying. We had a boat phone, a satellite phone. We still hadn't got 20th century cell phone service yet. So my captain is mad, answers the phone, throws it at me. And so I wipe the slime off, and I'm like, hello? And the voice, there's a girl's voice on the other end. She goes, are you sitting down? It's Bristol Bay, middle of the fishery. All the sockeye are running. We haven't sat down for weeks. So at this date, I find out that I fathered a son when I was in 8th grade. So me already being immature, and you get that phone call, I'm okay, that's okay. And then she tells me the name, I know him. Long story short, we're very good friends today. Hey. I got back into town, he was a senior in high school at that time, so he moved in with me. We got to know each other. Another interesting fact, he's gay. Which I could care less, whatever I could care less. My only stipulation to him and to my daughters, when we're talking relationships, I don't want to know what you like. I just want to make sure that you're fine, that you're being treated well. One of the best times I visited him and his roommates in Seattle, and he had 3 or 4 roommates, couple girls, couple boys. and when I left, he texted me, he goes, oh, my roommate thinks you're sexy. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I'm like, wait a minute. The boys or the girls? So when my parents began to feel less healthy, I took a land job, and very quickly I need to talk about my parents. My mom grew up in Washington. She was a phenomenal softball player in high school. I know no one's going to know the name of Ketchum, David Ketchum, who wrote Dennis the Menace. He was in my mom's class in Ballard High School, and he was an artist. And in the yearbook, they have a cartoonist, my mom, hitting a softball. And she was very athletic. Unfortunately, her mother committed suicide. And so my mother had to raise her own siblings, and that involved getting married right away, and it was to a Navy guy. And he brought my mom and their 5 kids that they had to Petersburg, and then he ran off. He left her there. He was an alcoholic. My father was born in Sweden, raised in Canada. He moved to Petersburg when he was 12 years old. His father died in the great flu epidemic when he was in Canada. So he brought his mother and sister to Alaska when he was 12 years old. He did, this 12-year-old. He grew up working with his hands. He started fox farming. Eventually, one of his jobs led him into Petersburg, and he became a telephone lineman. Like I said, he met my mom. They had my brother. Then they were with me, and so they got married. So I don't have any political votes against or for abortion. I just remember I was the seventh kid in our family. And they had me when my father was approaching 60 and my mom was approaching 50. So I feel blessed to be here. So I took the land job to be closer to them. And I also kept my ties with the Associated Press, and that's when they suggested I would be a good fit for the Turin Olympics in 2006. And I had never really traveled out of country, so here I am. I'm going to Italy, and I speak. I'm so lost, and I'm carrying extra huge lenses, and the first thing that happens, I get in a cab, and I'm supposed to be over at this place, and so I take the cab, and I come back. I have to run in and grab something, and I come back, and all my bags are sitting there, and I'm minus a camera and a lens that don't belong to me. They belong to the Associated Press, and I'm just devastated, and I'm just ready to say, I'm done, and I'm grabbing all this gear, and I'm walking down this cobblestone street, and I see a barber shop, and I look in there, and there's a guy in a suit getting cut, and there's an Italian barber, and so I walk in, and I got all my luggage, and they look at me, and I go, I'm from Alaska, and shit, the guy jumps up, asks me to sit down. They start grilling me for questions in broken English. My faith is renewed. I stay at the Winter Olympics. The New York Times publishes some of the photos. You know, some of them go across the world. I have the time of my life. And so, yeah, another lesson is life is going to throw you a curveball. My work continued. I shot New York Ballet, and a ballerina named Maria Korosky, she showed me a stretch that left me laid up for at least a month. Ballet dancers are some of the top athletes in the world. They jump higher than your head. I followed the Pacific Northwest Ballet when they were doing a Nutcracker tour, and what I found fascinating about that is when the main performers are out on stage, like the giant mice are in the wings, and they're doing these little bump grind moves with, you know, like the soldier dolls, and it was fascinating. I wrote about that. I found out that the principal dancers would write on the bottom of their shoes. They had like 80 pairs of shoes. They'd write like, this dance, this shoe is for this dance. That was amazing to me. One summer in 2008, the Juneau Empire, I was coming back from Bristol Bay, and they asked me to help them for a week. That turned into a month, another, and then I moved there. I gave them my take on small town sports and how I was always going to cover it for them. It was in Juneau that my first ultras began. I always carried 20 pounds of gear when I was covering a sporting event. If it was a race in the mountains, I had my 20 pounds of gear. Some of these runners, one is he was a National Ultra Runner of the Year 2 years in a row. His name's Jeff Rose. He invited me to join him and a Boston Marathon and Hawaii Kona triathlete and a mountain man named Glenn Frick on a little run-up Perseverance Trail. And I had always gone up Perseverance Trail. It's like 8 miles up and back. I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to chat with these guys. So the morning I come, they're waiting there. We wait for Jeff. Jeff shows up. He puts a map out on the car. And he points at a glacier. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. So roughly 37 miles, 12 plus hours later, I get home. They take me to my apartment. My significant other opens the door, and she said I looked like I was a ghost. But I was in love with running. That was the deal. My first ultra was because of a good friend of mine, one of those runners. He passed due to cancer, and he had always run the Klondike Road Relay every year since its inception. It's a 10-mile relay, a team, so I petitioned them and asked if I could run it. they said sure. So that was the first run I ever did. That was when I discovered that ketchup is so good. So our passions, your passions are out there. They're just waiting to be found. And I encourage you to look for whatever you want to do. Try it. I have another story. I remember I was stepping into my home gym. This is one of the years after college. I still stayed in really, really good shape. I came into my home gym. There was only one other person in there. That was Archie Young. And he had just graduated from high school. I don't know what year you graduated. 91. And he was just graduated. He was shooting hoops in there. And if you're a diehard basketball player and you see a great player playing, the first thing you do is you want to play. And we played one-on-one, and I honestly don't remember what the score was. I just know I had the time of my life. I sweated. It was hard-nosed basketball. It was epic one-on-one. It was pull-up jumpers, make it, take it. And I'm really happy I didn't walk into that gym and see Mr. Kimber working out on the mat. And I think the result of that contest would have been entirely different. So I'm going to hit a dark note here. So at a very early age, my stepfamily, my stepsister would come back from college, and she was a lot older, so she would come back with 20 kids from her college in Berkeley. And this was before the 70s. This was before they learned about all the good stuff. They were already doing the good stuff without learning the good stuff. They came and they would all crash around our house, and I was a very young kid. It was anywhere from 8 to 10. And so I was, so this is a little tougher note, it's a dark note. I was sexually assaulted at a very young age. And it impacted how I approached relationships. I didn't discover this until later down the road, the impact. This is personal time for me. You asked me to speak. So, lost my virginity in 8th grade here in Sitka. In a friend's wedding, adults snuck me in a bar, and an adult woman snuck me out of a bar. So I learned to write and fantasize and find wonder in these places I travel. When I talked about my mother's passing and my father's life, and the result of all these accumulations. I have a daughter who is a writer in New York. I have another daughter who has 4 kids, so I'm a grandpa of 4. My son, he's an athlete, plays a lot of tennis. We all have issues with depression, and we all have our ways to deal with them. I think if a lesson I can impart to you is you have to embrace both reality and imperfection. There's a saying, your best efforts, they're going to vary when you're at your best, when you're facing a challenging time in your life. Your best efforts are going to be different than when you're facing a decision that's everything's hunky-dory. The effort you make in those decisions is more important than the result. So my I have two, on a little lighter side, 2 main training secrets of life. And if you learn these, you will have success wherever you go. One secret is not well known. The second is the cramp secret. You always see when an athlete gets a cramp, they start rubbing, and the coaches are rubbing, they're pulling, they're getting ice. When I was at Cal State Fullerton, there was this Hindu guy they brought in, and he showed us the simplest trick, and I use it all the time when I get a cramp, and I get a lot of cramps when you're running 100 miles. You take your finger, and wherever the cramp is, very, very lightly, just graze wherever the cramp is, and I swear to God, it goes right away. Call me if it doesn't. I'll owe you a coffee. The the other secret trip is yellow urine. If I know you all think it was always fun to write your name in the snow. That is actually is a bad time if you're at that color. And I discovered this when I was training. It's called the Mt.Edgecumbe. We were running 100 miles in minus 10-degree weather, and at first I was very hydrated, very fine, and then the color changed, and then there was darker. I became hypothermic. And so as an athlete, it's important to stay, and it's the easiest way to tell if you are in trouble. If anything, if you're dehydrated, it just, every morning you get up, boom, color of that. Make sure you drink enough. Important lessons. I've also been on a 50-mile run in Bryce Canyon, 100 and some degrees, totally dehydrated. All the water I put into my hydration pack turned warm in 3 minutes. That was another lesson for me. And third, my last attempt was when I mentioned the Klondike Relay. I wanted to go fast time ever, and the pace was way too fast. 2 hours and 45 minutes for the first marathon, little less than that for the second. Everyone was warning me to slow down. I wasn't drinking enough. Mile 50-something, my whole entire body went into a cramp. And then after that, I dry heaved for 30 miles, and then I called it quits. That was enough for me on that race. So it is okay to fail. I'm looking forward to trying the next opportunity. I have a challenge for you. Before you leave this town, go to your favorite store or coffee shop or place or teacher and say, hi, I am, so-and-so from Mt.Edgecumbe, and I enjoyed spending time at your place. You will be surprised how much that impacts someone's life. And I say it again. The reason I am here is because you affected me. You 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. You made a difference in my life. Jolie Carlson, smiling cheerleader. Lloydie, and I mangled his name every time I said his last name. Lloydie, God bless you. Haley, I have some neighbors that they're being kind of unruly. Could you, swing by and straighten them out? The first event I covered, and I was so excited to be covering something in Mt.Edgecumbe, was a cross-country event. And I remember at the end of the race, I was so pumped. I was going to talk to Bristol Charlie, and I went up there and I was so excited, and I said, Crystal Barley. And I had to go through 2 more sports with her. State champion wrestler, hard as nails, basketball defender. Every time I approached her after that, I made sure she saw me coming from 100 yards so she could decide if she was going to bless me with an interview. So I'm wrapping up now. I thank you so much for your time. My lessons for you: say hi. Say hi to everybody you meet. Ask permission to do something. Be romantic. Cry. Know the single finger cramp relief. Move weight fast. Eat ketchup. And say thank you. Thank you all very much. I am really honored. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay to cry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate that you've been a wonderful audience. We're down to the last recognitions. Before we do that, there's a couple of things I want to do, and I want to tell Dr. Gil Truitt that we are absolutely honored by your presence. Every time you come to an event, you make us stronger. Dr. Gil Truitt, thank you very, very much. We just had a standing ovation, and that was awesome because it's much appreciated. We owe another standing ovation, and this is to our coaches and to their families for all the sacrifice and hard work that they do. Coaches, coaches, coaches. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It does not happen without you. It does not happen without you, and we really appreciate you. We honestly do. Andrew Frisky and Mr. Ludell Goldsberry are our athletic directors, and they do a wonderful job, not just tonight, all year. They do a fantastic job. Let's give them a big round of applause. Andrew Frisky, Ludell Goldsberry. I want you to raise your right hand. Let me tell you what for first. I want you to raise your right hand if you were involved in any way, shape, or form in the Region 5 basketball tournament that we just had. A player, a coach, somebody who sold tickets, somebody who picked up the trash. If you were involved in that Region 5 tournament, raise your hand. That's probably just about all of you, and a ton of kids that are in the dorm right now, and a lot of kids that are traveling. That Region 5 tournament, 550 athletes and coaches, 550 we hosted. That was one of the most outstanding tournaments I've ever been associated with, and I think, again, thank you to Mr. Andrew Frisky and Ludell Goldsberry. It is my honor and my privilege to do the Lillian Lane and Bob Brown Awards for Best Female and Male Athlete of the Year at Mt.Edgecumbe High School. A little bit of a background. They are presented here at the awards banquet. The criteria. Number one, earned a varsity letter in at least 2 sports this year. 2, number 2 was no major incident reports, no majors. Number 3, working to their academic abilities. And number 4, a word you've heard several times tonight, coachability. Coachability. The selection is made by a vote of varsity coaches of female sports for the Lillian Lane Award and varsity coaches of male sports for the Bob Brown Award. Let's go to the Lillian Lane Award first. A little bit of background about her. Lillian Lane was here at this ceremony, was it about 3 years ago, Mr. Goldsberry? A few years ago. She was a student here. Let me tell you a little bit about her and why this recognition is important. Lillian Lane is from Point Hope, and she was a Mt.Edgecumbe graduate in 1975. She was a 4-time all-conference athlete in volleyball and basketball. Top Citizen Award winner. She was in the honor roll. She was voted best all-around student athlete. She was student leader in the dormitory clubs and student council. She was the track and field shot put champion. She was a runner. She was a cheerleader. She was the Eskimo toe kick NYO champion. She was in varsity basketball for 4 years. Varsity volleyball for 4 years, cheerleading for 4 years, track and field for 4 years, class president 3 of her 4 years in high school. She was in the food committee organizer. She was the cheerleading captain for three of those 4 years. She was the central council sergeant at arms for a year. She was a vice president for 3 years. She was an honor roll all 4 years. She was honors dorm president. On top of all of that, she had a couple of hobbies. She was into art. She did anything concerning sports, and most of all, enjoying life. Lillian Lane is considered probably the best female athlete in the history of Mt.Edgecumbe High School. This award is in her name. Last year, the Lillian Lane Award winner was Laura Ikata. The 2018-19 Lillian Lane Award as recognition for the best female athlete is awarded to Miss Bristol Anisha Charlie. Stay right there. Bristol is a 4-year senior from Cleethlook. She has a grade point average of 3.44. Student athlete, that's what it's all about, baby. That's what it's all about. 2-time cross-country running letter award winner. 2-time wrestling letter award winner. 4-time basketball letter award winner. State champion wrestler in 2018, not 19, it was 2018, and state runner-up in 2017. She was a member of the cross-country regional championship team in 2017. Basketball regional championship team 16 and 19, 2016 and 19, and she was Region 5 Girls Outstanding Wrestler in 2019. Mr. Kimber spoke very eloquently about her. I'll mention a few other things that were listed by her coaches. In her first year, Bristol wrestled her way to the Region 5 title and then runner-up at the state tournament, finishing with a 22-8 record her very first year of wrestling. In her second year, Bristol was a team captain, won titles at the Lancer Smith, Ketchikan, and Sitka tournaments. Bristol was voted Outstanding Wrestler in Region 5 as a senior. She won a second Region 5 title on her way to a rare undefeated season where she became Mt.Edgecumbe High School's 26th state champion. At the end of her senior year, USA Wrestling ranked Bristol nationally at number 20 at 135 pounds. During her short time at Mt.Edgecumbe High School wrestling program, 2 years, she amassed a record of 53-8 and brought with her a winning attitude that demanded hard work and success from herself and her teammates. That's the wrestling story. Bristol Charlie is a 3-year varsity cross-country runner and is a 2-year state qualifier. Bristol shows up every day with a smile and willingness to work hard and improve her speed and skill. Bristol encourages the athletes around her with her work ethic and her positive attitude. Bristol Charlie is our Lillian Lane Award winner. Congratulations, Jeff. Bob Brown was an excellent athlete at Mt.Edgecumbe High School in the late 60s and early 70s. Bob Brown died in an Alaska Airlines crash in Juneau while he was on his way to start his college career here at Sheldon Jackson College in Sitka in the fall of 1971. He graduated from Mt.Edgecumbe High School in 1971. The 2018-19 Bob Brown Award is as recognition as the best male athlete is awarded to Mr. Leon Paul Avon. Leon Paul Yvonne. This is his second time up here for the Bob Brown Award. Did you know that? Second time up here. Leon is a 3-year senior from Bethel, and he has a grade point average of 3.35. Are you starting to see the pattern now? Are you starting to see the pattern in good athletes and good students? 3.35. 3-time letter award winner in cross-country running. 3-time letter award winner in wrestling. 3-time regional champion wrestling in 2016, 17, and 18. He was a state placer in wrestling in 2017 and 18, third place both times. Leon came to Mt.Edgecumbe High School from Bethel, where he was already a region champion and a state qualifier. At Mt.Edgecumbe High School, Leon wrestled his way into 3 more regional championship matches, winning 2 of those. His loss came from an injury default in a match where he was ahead. Leon placed 3rd at the state tournament both his junior and senior years. Leon's biggest addition was his coachability and hard work. Those characteristics led him to become a 2-time captain who added 2 team regional titles as a captain to one that he already had in his sophomore year. While at Mt.Edgecumbe High School, Leon amassed a record of 87 wins, 29 losses. With his freshman season included, Leon finished high school with a record 104 wins and 34 losses. But more important than his record is that Leon made everyone around him not only a better wrestler, but a better person by example through his actions. Now let's talk about cross country. Leon Yvonne is a 3-year varsity cross-country runner and state qualifier. Leon is a natural leader with his quiet encouragement. It's not hard to hear the coaches at cross-country practice because they make a lot of noise. Leon has a different leadership style. He leads from within the group and makes very little noise while encouraging and directing his teammates. Leon earned the right to represent the Cardinal in gold in many races and has earned his varsity letter in cross country. Leon is a hard-working athlete who raises the level of his teammates by working hard each and every day, never complaining, and showing good sportsmanship during and after competitions. Leon Yvonne, again, congratulations. We have another athletic recognition award to be presented, but it won't be tonight. The Best Overall Athlete Award will be presented at our Academic Awards ceremony in May, and that will give our Native Youth Olympics team an opportunity and those athletes to shine as well. And at our Academic Awards ceremony, we will name the overall Best Athlete 2018-19. We are left with one more award to present tonight. This award, this recognition, comes from the family. It comes from love of the family. At this time, Coach Mike Kimber, would you please come up here? Coach Mike Kimber. If we were to go through Coach Kimber's resume, we would be here till about 9:30 tonight. So we won't do that. But I will state on behalf of the administration, on behalf of the teachers, the staff, the students, your athletes today and athletes yesterday, and your parents out there who really appreciate 19 years as head varsity wrestling coach at Mt.Edgecumbe High School. He put girls wrestling on not only the state map, but the national map. Dedication and love to the kids and the sport. Mike Kimber, an appreciation for years of service to the student athletes of Mt.Edgecumbe High School. We thank you. Leon and Bristol and Coach Kimber, please stay here after everybody's done. You can help us clean up the auditorium. No, not really. Not really. Mr. Frisky, do you have any announcements, sir? Not yet. Not yet. Wrap up all the stuff, throw it away. Okay, again, thank you very much for being a wonderful audience, and congratulations, all the athletes. Take up all the trash that is near you, please. And the Athlete of the Years and Mr. Kimber, please come over here. Mr. Kimber, Coach Kimber, please. Leon, please. Bristol, please.